constant pressure from every level. Just what's the challenge involved in that?
Well, the biggest challenge for us is communication. And when you play a multiple defense like this, they play in many different structures. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we've stressed all week, to our guys that it doesn't necessarily matter if we've got the ideal call, because you might not always have the ideal call because these guys disguise so well. But the biggest thing is that everybody's on the same page and we execute the calls we're making.
And how much of a challenge is that it seems that they will show something pre-snap to force an adjustment and then do something different that attacks that very adjustment. Like, how challenging is that, especially with a young quarterback, or is that helpful in that you can kind of mold that young quarterback to do what you want them to do?
Well, obviously, they're trying to create confusion for the quarterback, and so we would anticipate that we'll get quite a bit of that. And, Jonathan's always been really good at that, so, it's been a trademark of the stuff he's always done defensively. And I think even last year he probably got a little more exotic than he's been in the past. So, we'll be prepared. We're working all different types of looks, obviously, and, with a young quarterback, you can anticipate everything.
Aside from the specific challenge of their defense, what's your message to Spencer this week? Because he's, I'm sure, jacked up to go out and make big plays, and yet I'm sure you want the game to come to him as well.
Well, he doesn't need to do anything than what he's done since we got here. And that's, be process-driven. Prepare the way that we've prepared every day since we got here, and just go be you. Let the offense work for you. You don't have to be the offense. Let the offense work for you and do your job.
Is the Arizona defense that John runs compared to what Brandon runs here? I know they've had background together.
Yeah. All these guys, they're all kind of like stepbrothers, or however you want to call them. They're kind of intertwined in one way, but they have their own intricacies. So, like Brandon does a very good job of trying to create doubt and indecision in the quarterback's mind. So there's some similarities, yet there's quite a few differences also. I think, definitely when you see that type of structure, in practice, and, it's one of the things when you talk about training camp, why you like to get out and do joint practices is because you get to see a different structure. What happens when you're playing quarterback, your eyes get trained seeing the same thing over and over again. You pick up things when you know what's kind of coming. So it's good to see different styles, and this is a unique style.
I know this is his first week prepping as a starting quarterback, but how much of an extra, have you seen out of him since he's getting to play his hometown team?
Well, I think that you'd have to ask him that question. I think what I've seen is a guy that's focused, a guy that's prepared the right way, and obviously we still got quite a bit of time before the game, but I believe he'll continue to prepare and be ready to go.
How do you think the elevation, the preparation have really, gone to another level after, he's won the quarterback competition?
I don't think he's changed. I think that's all three guys in the room. I'll say that for him. Nobody's changed. Like we said, it was a tough decision, and everybody's continued to work. Everybody's continued to be about our process and how we do things.
Devon, how have you seen him kind of pick up the offense? Obviously, it's a quick turnaround.
Sure. Really bright guy. Done a really good job. Obviously, he's behind in the learning curve a little bit, which is expected. And, the biggest thing for us is to put things together for him in packages where he can master a package and not try and take on everything at one point in time.
Adding his skill set in general, does that make your life easier as an offensive guy? Does that open up some options that might not exist with the smaller?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Just his skill set, his size, does that kind of open things up a little bit in terms of how you can attack certain situations?
Well, obviously, it's one of the things you love about the player is his length and his catch radius. And obviously, he's a smart guy, man. I'm telling you, like I said, we kind of start in packages, and just to watch how quickly he's picked up the things that we've asked him to do, it's been impressive.
I was going to ask about maybe personal excitement for you being back on the sideline for a regular season game in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. I've been really just thinking about our team and the Arizona Cardinals, and every time I get a chance to step in that dome, it's special. But this isn't about me. This is about our players and our team and their team.
And with those players getting the opportunity to really get, Alvin Kamara going and everything, just sort of maybe the excitement level around that.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for us, for our staff, at least for most of the staff. This will be our first time. A couple guys have been here in the past or have stayed here, but for a lot of us, it's going to be the first time we're going to take the field. with this group of players. And so we're all very excited. And the biggest thing is it's going to boil down to 11 on 11 between the lines. And biggest thing is for us to play our style of football.
What have your impressions been of Alvin? I mean, we've only seen him for one snap in preseason, but I know you all had extensive work with him in practice. What gives you confidence going into the season with him that you've seen so far?
Well, I have a long history with Alvin, being in Alabama with him when he came out of high school, and so we were there for a year, and then following his career from there on, just a lot of respect for obviously everything he's accomplished throughout his career, and you see that natural juice when he steps on the field and touches the ball. You feel his juice, and he's got that extra gear, and it's exciting. It's going to be exciting to watch it come out. Obviously he had the one real productive play in the preseason, so it'll be really awesome to see him get a lot more than one coming up on Sunday.
How was Saturday night?
Saturday night was a good night. I think, I don't know what I did. There was maybe a college football game or something like that happened. That's not a good thing.
What did you talk to a particular quarterback about maybe following that game?
Just happy for their whole program. I was go to Clemson. That's a really good football team, and there was two really good football teams. Obviously, it's early in the year, but it was a very good football game.
I don't think we asked you yet or talked about it, but just the obvious fact that your son gets to wear number 18 at LSU. He talked about how much that meant to him. What does that mean to you as well?
I think anytime your child gets recognized by his peers, the people that, I know how important it is for us to talk about what's important in our locker room to our coaches and our players. And anytime, you have a child that gets recognized by his peers and his coaches and the people within his building for being, something that represents what they want their program to represent, I think it's, one, you feel blessed, you feel fortunate, and obviously proud.
Did you see anything that you gave him advice on during the Saturday game that you took to heart and put into action?
Of course, but I won't go there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what has stood out to you throughout this offseason about Dylan Ravens?
Yeah, Dylan's done a really good job, and obviously had to step in with Trevor's injury and has played well, and really excited about what he's done, and he's been dialed in since day one, been assignment sound, and really feel fortunate that we have the ability to plug him in if we need be with Trevor's situation.
How excited are you to show full display of what this offense can do after working in preseason?
Well, I think that you're still in week one. So we talk a lot about our process. We talk a lot about playing our style of football. And I think that's most important going into this game is that we lean into what the pillars of our program are. We've got to play clean, fast football. We can't have mistakes. We can't have penalties, those type of things. You go out in an opener, we've got to take care of the football. And all those little things that you take for granted, they become really big in openers.
In a game like this, when it's week one and everything's kind of new for both sides, do you find that you focus more on doing what it is that you want to do, or are you still taking into account trying to maybe adjust to some of the things that you're expecting from the other team?
Well, I think there's always that fine line balance every week when you do that. You're always, looking at your opponent and ways to strategically attack them. Yet at the same point in time, you can't make it all about attacking them and forget about who we are and what we do well. So there's always that fine line, and we'll find that balance.
Defensive scrambling ability, is that something you kind of encourage even, early in games, early in drives, if something positive is there, you can take it? Or how do you kind of approach that part of the game?
Well, play extension is a big part of playing quarterback. And there's different types of play extension. Some guys extend plays from within the pocket, and that means a half-man slide off the midline to buy yourself a little more time before I have to get it out before I'm going to take a hit. Or, to the next level where I actually have to escape and get out and run. So, that's big with all of our quarterbacks. It's a big part of the game, because when you talk about defensive structure, they're built to, win that 2.3, as they say, the beginning of part of the snap. Now, what are we going to do afterwards? And a lot of it is not just on the quarterback. We train the receivers. We train the tight ends, the running backs, all of our passing group. And, hey, there's certain places we've got to get and certain reactions we need to get when we get into scramble phase.
Doug, how much has that changed in the last, say, 10 years, maybe 15, I don't know, the defensive looks changing post-snap on the quarterback? It seems like it's been an evolution over the last period of time, making it difficult for the quarterback.
Sure. I do think there's a lot more disguise going on in the league. A lot of it is the style of offense that's being played, too, because you've seen a big transition from, we go back to the days of the I backs and big tight end, two backs in the backfield, and really you were in some form of I or you were some form of slot formation. Now you got all these spread formations with empty and that kind of thing. So the defensive guys just aren't going to stand there and let you know what they're in. So they've evolved, and now they create problems for us because it's like, hey, you're getting overload pressures, and there's athletic defensive linemen that are running out in coverage and those type of things that, create problems for you in your hots and sights and those kind of things. So, yeah, it's a chess match that goes on both sides of the ball. Thanks, guys.